Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Today, happy Valentine's Day. In honor of all the couples out there and all the wonderful romances that were represented on the Waltons, I'm actually going to touch on a specific episode for this Valentine's Day. The Legacy from season 7. This is episode 19. If you're enjoying these, please do hit like and subscribe. The Legacy was written by William Parker based off of a story by our own Michael Learned, and it was directed by Gwen Arner. And it was our first introduction to the character of Ashley Longworth Jr., in this case portrayed by the fabulous Jonathan Frakes. The character of Ashley was represented through 2 generations here. First of all, the Ashley Longworth that Miss Emily knew from her youth, that she had a wonderful, very brief romance with. And it certainly impacted her entire life. She has spent the rest of her life reflecting on what could have been and just cherishing this brief but perfect romance that she has really built up in her mind. People begin to wonder how much of it was even real. Did Ashley really exist? Was there really a romance? But for Miss Emily, it was very, very real, and she frequently talked about that one perfect kiss under the swirling leaves, one perfect moment in time for her. For Erin, in the present, she meets Ashley Longworth Jr., and he is tall and dashing, and we first see him in his white naval uniform, and he almost literally sweeps her off her feet. He splashes her with mud, but then when she finally gets a good look at him, she can't help but have a little bit of love at first sight. And he returns her interest and would love to pursue a romance with Erin, but Miss Emily seems to be monopolizing all of his time. Erin has been helping the Baldwin sisters with their memoirs, and so she is on her way to the Baldwins when she first encounters Ashley and literally takes him with her, or he drives them to the Baldwin house. And when Miss Emily first sees Ashley, she faints. And then when she comes to, it's as if Ashley has returned her, and in her own mind, she believes this is her Ashley. And because Miss Mamie is concerned about the delicacy of Miss Emily's constitution and potentially her health, she asks that Ashley go along with this, just humor her for a little bit until Miss Emily can begin to recognize what the truth of the situation is. So, not wanting to hurt her, Ashley goes along with it. Well, this turns into a charade that he is just not comfortable with. First of all, it prevents him and Erin from spending time together and exploring the potential real romance between the two of them. And it also means he continues to encounter people in situations that are just awkward. After church, he is Miss Emily, who is now all dressed up like a young girl again with her hair the way she said Ashley loved it. And she wants to introduce him around after church, and she introduces him to Ike and Corbeth. And Corbeth is a little uncertain about the way Miss Emily is talking about Ashley and how they are a couple. She introduces him as her suitor, and Corbeth is, needless to say, a little taken aback by this, and Ashley is very uncomfortable with it as well. Daddy is cooking Sunday dinner for the family, and Erin says, there's so much food. Perhaps we could have some guests, and suggests that they haven't had the Baldwins for dinner in some time. And of course, that would mean including Ashley in the invitation. John says, I'd like to meet him, and the more the merrier, basically. So they come to dinner. And this is the very first time we see someone actually sitting in Grandpa, in his seat at the table, which had not been utilized since the passing of Zeb. And in the book, Goodnight, John Boy, this is what Jonathan Frakes had to say about his time on the Waltons and this situation of sitting at the table in particular. I had just come out from New York, where I had been doing soap and had little experience with television in Hollywood. To my great good luck, I was cast as Ashley Longworth Jr., the son of the University of Virginia student who had so boldly kissed Miss Emily Baldwin in a shower of golden leaves, an act so vile it caused her father, the judge, to ask him to leave town. At any rate, I was welcomed by the Walton cast and treated with genuine warmth and respect. I was honored by a decision that had to be made while I was in one episode. It was after Will Geer's death, and nobody had ever sat in his place at the table. It was decided that sufficient time had passed, and that my character was a nice enough guy that I was allowed to sit there. It is still an honor. I also remember my first day on the set when I went into the makeup trailer. Cammie Cotler was in the next chair. She was every bit of 7 years old, and while she was being made up, she was reading the Wall Street Journal and checking her stock portfolio. I'm not sure that wasn't a bit of an exaggeration, but certainly could have represented Cammie if it wasn't strictly the truth. And then Mary had this to say about it. Ashley Longworth had been a character Miss Emily talked about incessantly. She would stop you at Ike's store and tell you about the time Ashley Longworth kissed her in October in a shower of golden leaves. Our family halfway believed that Ashley Longworth was somebody Miss Emily had made up until one day Ashley Longworth's son turned up. He wasn't a dream, but the actor Jonathan Frakes was a dreamboat. Yes, the script called for another kissing scene, but this time it was no problem at all. Through a series of mishaps, although Ashley has arranged a date with Erin for the next evening, he has been out during the day with Miss Emily, who wants to show him all over, and his car gets stuck in the mud. And he has Miss Emily try driving while he's trying to push it out. It gets covered in mud. It's all hopeless. Miss Emily thinks it's all a wonderful lark. Ashley's getting more and more frustrated over this situation, knowing that he is going to miss his date with Erin. He ends up having to get a farmer nearby. He walks there. The farmer comes back with his horses rigged up. They attach it to the car, and the horses pull the car out. But he has long since missed his date. Erin is at home. She's heartbroken. She talks with Daddy, who says, give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure there's a good reason. And she's thinking, I don't want to see him. And it's Miss Emily, but she's hurt. And the next morning, Ashley shows up at breakfast. And Mary Ellen comes to his aid when Erin's saying, I'm not going out with you. And Erin is saying, don't look at me, I'm in my robe. And Mary Ellen basically says, Erin, don't be an idiot and go. And Erin agrees. And the two of them, Ashley and Erin, do go for a walk. And he explains what happened. And Erin forgives him. And then, meanwhile, Miss Emily has woken up to find out that Ashley has already left. And she says, oh, I know where he's gone. He's gone to our special place. So she goes out hurrying to look for him. Well, of course, as Ashley and Erin are having a moment and he kisses her, Miss Emily sees it and is completely distraught, takes to her bed. But finally, she does come down and she has come back to reality and basically admits that she knows it's not real, that this is not Ashley, but she knows that means that Ashley is dead. And so this little pretense that she's having there has been her way of holding on to this and not wanting to accept the news that her Ashley is gone. But Ashley Jr. has come by with a letter that his father had written for Miss Emily, and he gives it to her before he leaves, promising to see Erin again in the future. So in this episode, we have a bit of a callback to the youthful romance of Miss Emily with Ashley Sr., and then the budding romance of Erin and Ashley Jr. We also have an opportunity through the subplot to see other sorts of romance and phases of romances. Elizabeth is going through awkward stage, very much like Mary Ellen was struggling with in The Homecoming. She's not quite a woman, but not quite a little girl, doesn't know whether she wants to be a woman or stay a little girl. She's looking for advice, but she doesn't know who to turn to. She tries to talk to Mary Ellen, but Mary Ellen's too busy trying to get a bath ready for John Curtis. And she even actually approaches Corabeth, who says, I'm happy to give you motherly advice. But when Elizabeth asks about whether she's ready for a brassiere, Corabeth is very flustered and doesn't quite know how to answer it. And eventually Elizabeth talks to Daddy, and Daddy doesn't quite know how to advise her, but does a really sweet job, but then calls Olivia. And Olivia basically says she'll take care of it. So we see that phase of the romance touched on between John and Olivia, where they have the comfort of all those years together in a sort of a shorthand, and they're always there for each other to help each other and the children through difficult times. John does go to visit Olivia because she's actually still in Virginia. She hasn't gone to Arizona yet. And he comes back with a gift for Elizabeth. Olivia has made her a sweet camisole that she can wear for this sort of in-between stage, something that'll make her feel more comfortable and in this transition into womanhood. So this is the beginning of Elizabeth becoming a young woman and all the romances that will be ahead for her. This episode showcased Jo and Ronnie Claire Edwards briefly as Ike and Corabeth. Of course, the fabulous Mary Jackson and Helen Clee back as Miss Emily and Miss Mamie. Then Michael and Marshall Reed back as John Curtis, being adorable as ever. And then the wonderful Jonathan Frakes, who of course, went on to star as another military officer in multiple renditions of the Star Trek sagas and whatnot. He also went on to become a writer, a director, a producer, and he and Mary even reunited on a Hallmark movie called Christmas at the Biltmore Hotel. I hope all of you enjoy a happy Valentine's Day with someone special in your life. And just remember that romance and love comes in so many forms. So however you celebrate this day, whether with a significant other or just embracing all that love has to offer and romance, past, present, future, all the best to you. Thanks for watching.